Trump on Mitt Romney dinner, there was actually a good chemistry. Even as his transition staff continues its public fight over Secretary of State contenders, President-elect Donald Trump weighed in on one controversial potential cabinet member, Mitt Romney. Mr. Trump, who met with Romney for dinner in Manhattan earlier this week, spoke with Fox News' Ainsley Earhardt in an interview that aired Friday. On Romney, the 2012 Republican presidential nominee and a vocal critic of Mr. Trump throughout the campaign trail, the president-elect said, "He's been very gracious. Don't forget, I hit Mitt pretty hard also, I mean, before the fact, so I understand how it all works." Mr. Trump said, "He's been very, very nice." Commenting on the meal they shared Tuesday night, Mr. Trump said, "It was great. There was actually a good chemistry. There was a really good chemistry with him and also with President Obama." He added that he had a great talk with Mr. Obama. Mr. Trump's friendliness toward the 2012 GOP nominee comes just as his transition advisors have taken to TV to openly air their grievances against the president-elect's former foe. On Friday, Kellyanne Conway, a senior advisor on the Trump transition team, spoke to CBS This Morning about the possibility that Romney could be chosen as the nation's top diplomat. Conway defended her past outspoken criticism of Romney, saying she was just passing on the breathtaking backlash against the former presidential candidate. "There are 4 people as of yesterday," Conway added, of the State Department contenders. "That list may expand, that list may narrow," though she didn't name them. The 4 are former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Romney, former CIA Director Gen. David Petraeus, Rhett and Sen. Bob Corker, R. Tennessee. "If Mitt Romney wants to run the State Department, I'm down with that." Donald Trump is humiliating one of his fiercest critics by making Mitt Romney grovel in public in order to be named Secretary of State. And he could easily humiliate Romney completely by not naming him. That's the thesis of John Cassidy's latest New Yorker piece, and I think it's obviously true. But let's do a little unpacking. When you're Romney's age 69, dignity is precious. Relevance is even more precious. Romney's gambling both to have both. Why not? There is no deep, nourishing satisfaction in not mattering. Cassidy reminds us that once upon a time Romney really let Trump have it. For instance, reacting to the Access Hollywood tape, Romney tweeted, "Hitting on married women? Condoning assault? Such vile degradations demean our wives and daughters and corrupt America's face to the world." Romney said what millions of us thought. But it turned out there weren't quite as many of us as we thought there were. Cassidy says he hopes Romney's wife and sons, and his former campaign strategist Stuart Stevens, who was even more critical of Trump during the campaign than his boss was, have been spared Romney's abject display of cant, falsehoods, and self-abnegation. Months ago, I heard Stevens speak at the University of Chicago. Yes, Trump disgusted Stevens, and he predicted that if Trump won the Republican nomination, respectable Republicans would form a third party. They didn't. Trump was just as repugnant as Stevens and Romney believed. But the national tolerance for the character traits that made respectable Republicans gag turned out to be greater than they ever imagined. A ne'er-do-well swaggered into town and wooed away the party right out from under its respectable leaders. So what does Romney do now? More to the point, what do we want Romney to do? Well, we certainly don't want Trump and Rudy Giuliani, completely out of their depth, blowing up the world together. Putting the most charitable spin he can think of on Romney's position, Cassidy writes that Romney might simply be volunteering to save us all from disaster, with an inexperienced, thin-skinned narcissist and ranter heading for the Oval Office. It would obviously be reassuring to have someone with a calm demeanor and a reality-based view of things with him in the Situation Room when bad things happen, as they inevitably will. But Cassidy suspects otherwise. He goes on, "The cynical explanation is that Romney is in it for himself. He's 69, and this is almost certainly his last chance to hold high government office. Romney critics, and those are the people pushing this theory, point to his past flip-flops on such issues as abortion and gay marriage as evidence that when a deeply held belief comes up against Romney's ambition always wins, the Washington Post's Chris Cillizzo noted on Wednesday. So, Romney wants to be Secretary of State more than he hates Trump. It's that simple a calculation. Is it? What if this is true? The more Romney hates Trump, the more he wants to be Secretary of State. It's true of me. The more I despise Trump, the less I want a bozo like Giuliani riding shotgun across the world with him, and the more I want someone who isn't a hysteric. Why shouldn't Romney be as frightened of the alternatives to him as I am? Besides, Romney accomplishes nothing by taking himself out of contention. Then he's forgotten, and whatever he has to say about Trump will matter even less than it mattered during the campaign. But once he's appointed, if he's appointed, he's armed with the power to resign. And as he resigns, surrounded by the world's microphones, he conceivably could make a case of incompetence and self-dealing that would get Trump impeached. Getting rid of Trump through impeachment is the last refuge of our magical thinking. Romney's groveling before Trump is horrible to watch. If they ever remake that 1958 classic The Fly, Mitt Romney should play the fly in Donald Trump the spider that comes to eat him. Help me, the fly cries as the spider moves in for the kill. Only in real life, nothing can help Romney. Instead of being a creature with the head of a man and the body of a fly, he has the head of a man and the quivering body of a jellyfish. It's a different movie, I grant you, but still horrible to watch. Once, Romney was all man. He was the governor of Massachusetts, a progressive state, co-founder of a sizable financial firm, and then Republican nominee for president. I did not vote for him, but I always thought he'd make a passable president. He certainly looked the part. This time around, he was just about the only Republican to stay out of the presidential race, meaning that he did not have to suffer the ignominy of losing to Donald Trump. Trump was the worst possible choice. A flamboyant ignoramus, narcissistic and cruel as they all are, and a bully and a cheat and a liar, with bad hair to boot. During the 2016 campaign, Romney rose to the occasion. He denounced Trump as a phony and fraud. He called his promises worthless, said he tolerated bigotry, and suggested that Trump University lacked more than a football team. In fact, Romney devoted a whole speech to a denunciation of Trump. It was, as Winston Churchill said in a somewhat different context, his finest hour. It was, however, an hour that lasted a New York minute. In fact, it was to that very city that Romney came hat in hand. He wants to be Trump's Secretary of State. Trump has heard him out twice. Romney has been out to Trump's golf course for a meeting and then joined Trump and the flexible Reince Priebus for a dinner the other night at Jean George Restaurant. It is a swell place in Trump International Hotel in Tower, New York on the West Side, known for French food. That night, however, crow must have been on the menu. It's possible that Trump may yet pick Romney. Abraham Lincoln famously put together a team of rivals for his cabinet, but if I may go out on a limb here, Trump is no Lincoln. Instead, he's a blowhard who is not likely to have increased his respect for Romney by watching him grovel. The performance, I might add, has surely been noticed by foreign governments, with whom a Secretary of State Romney would be dealing. They now know that a breakfast meeting with him would mean 2 bowls of mush. His word would mean nothing. He would be, as Vyacheslav Molotov was to Joseph Stalin, a stone-faced errand boy who would have to prove his loyalty over and over again. Trump has proved to be minimally useful, offering a kind of litmus test for character. There are those who stand up to him and those who grovel. Romney is in the latter camp, proving, if nothing else, that he would have made a weak president. He is not a man's head on the body of a fly. He is a man's head on the body of a puppy.